Hey everyone, I'm Klloo. Welcome back to some more Flesh and Blood learning. So we're just checking out all the different heroes from the precon decks, just taking a quick look at their abilities and how they mesh into the gameplay structure of Flesh and Blood. Again, I am new to the game, and I'm just trying to do this as a little bit of a learning process to check out the heroes, the abilities, how a lot of the core gameplay mechanics function. So because of that, we're not actually playing any games, we're just using the single player format here on Talishare, which is really good, really helpful to just take a look at the basic structure of the hero and their decks. We did Arcane Rising last time around, so from Dash, was it? To Azalea. This time around we're doing Monarch, so Prism, Levia, Boltyn, and Chane. And then next time around I'm probably just going to mash up Tales of Aria and Uprising and just get it done, because I do want to actually start deck construction. I've been going over my personal collection, and I've got a decent idea of the first deck I want to build. So anyway, we'll head into it. So we're checking out Prism. This was the first go at the Illusionist class. So we'll see what they're all about, how they play. So first off, a big difference. The Monarch decks and all the decks going forward, I believe, are Blitz, which means they're a quicker format than the normal Classic Constructed. So first off, we're using a young hero, as indicated on the bottom of the card right there. We're also using a 40 card deck rather than a 60 card deck, I believe. 60 to 80 cards, I think, is Classic Constructed. So it's just a better player-friendly experience, because it's a quicker game and it's an easier deck to build. I'm actually curious why it's 41, because I'm pretty sure Blitz is meant to be 40. Interesting. Anyway, we'll get to it. We'll check out what Prism actually does. So Prism, once per turn, pay 2. Banish a card from Prism's soul, create a Spectral Shield token. It's an illusionist aura with, if your hero would be dealt damage, instead destroy Spectral Shield and prevent 1 damage that source would deal. So this is interesting right away, because it means it's usable against both arcane damage and normal damage. So I do know this hero was considered very overpowered when it was first released. I'm pretty sure the adult version too. So I'm not sure what the difference in ability is, but obviously right off that we can see they've got a decent inbuilt defense mechanic, and defense is really important in Flesh and Blood because you do have such a small health pool. The soul mechanic. Do we have anything that sort of indicates what that exactly is? No, not just yet. I'll continue reading. During your action phase, illusionist auras you control are weapons with 4 damage. Okay, so using our basic ability, we can pay 2, get an aura, and then we can attack with it, I guess, if you pay 3. So for 5, we get a shield that does go again and does 4 damage, meaning we don't have to spend any cards. So already this cycle is insanely busted in my onset view, especially compared to all the other classes I've seen. It's definitely one of the better card economy type of mechanics. Very, very interesting. Halo of Illumination. Pay 1, sorry. Destroy Halo of Illumination. Put a card from your hand into your hero's soul. It's a light card, draw a card. So put it face up under your hero card. I'm assuming we can't use it unless it has some sort of ability. Interesting. So there must be some cards that we want to put in our soul. This is generic, so we won't bother. Action, destroy Dreamweavers. The next illusionist attack action card if you play this turn loses and can't gain Phantasm. We'll have to check out what Phantasm is, and then everything else is just basic equipment. 3 Spectral Shield tokens, we've already seen that. There we go, Phantasm. If X card is defended by a non-illusionist attack action card with 6 or more damage, destroy it and close the combat chain. What does that mean exactly? I guess none of its effects resolve, so you don't get the go again. Yeah, it says it down there. If it is destroyed, go again does not resolve. So you don't trigger any of the effects if it's blocked. So they do have a decent weakness, it looks like. If Herald of Protection hits, put it into your hero's soul and create a Spectral Shield. So already there, great look at cycling. Instead of this card being destroyed or discarded, it goes into our hero's soul, and then we can use our basic inbuilt ability as well as our weapon. If your hero would be dealt damage, instead destroy Spectral Shield and prevent 1 damage. Oh, and it creates a shield token. Okay, that's interesting. Ode to Wrath. Whenever a source you control deals damage to an opposing hero, they lose 1. And it's an aura, so it stays. Illusionist attack actions you control have go again, so that's another great effect. And then Spectra. Ode to Wrath can be attacked. When Ode to Wrath becomes a target of attack, destroy it and close the combat chain. Okay, so you're creating all these little auras or minions, or I guess I should say illusions, that sort of benefit you. definitely complex right from the get-go. Okay, so I guess we want to build up our board presence, I guess, with auras. So it's Zoo, for lack of a better word. I don't know what it's considered in this game, but yeah, so Zoo, I play Hearthstone, or used to, so like a Zoo lock. And nothing just yet has go again, besides a basic attack. Because I'm just trying to think how we chain together cards. Interesting. Given the effects and how slow they might be, I'm tempted more just to look at the deck, considering it's also a 40 card deck instead. Let's just take a quick gander. So, okay. Herald of Judgment. Specialization. It's put into your hero soul till the end of the turn, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so our big pull is either creating auras or cycling through cards with our soul ability. Very interesting. So next up we have Levia, the Shadow Brute hero. If a card with 6 or more damage has been put into your banish zone this turn, cards you own lose Blood Debt. So Blood Debt, I'm going to assume, is the Shadow mechanic, and then it's still the basic Brute mechanic, which is discarding cards with high damage. What about equipment? Do we have anything interesting? Just our basic weapon whenever you attack with the Meat Claw. Meat Axe, draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card with 6 more discard this way, gains 2 damage. So again, just more on that discard mechanic. Whenever a card with 6 or more is put into your banish zone, you may destroy it to gain a action point. So free go again. I'm very curious about the terminology. Because I know sometimes they use go again, and sometimes they use gain 1 action point. I guess go again is only put on a card that uses an action. So this is more of an instant effect, which don't use action points. And now our deck is only 39. Interesting. So what is Blood Debt? At the beginning of your end phase, if Endless Maw is in your banish zone, lose 1 life. As an additional cost, banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. Okay. So not only do we discard like a brute, we also banish cards and then take damage if we don't trigger our inbuilt ability. Is there a way for us to play or utilize the banished cards? Because if there's not, then that just seems like a ticking time bomb, so to speak. Banish top card, banish top card. Banish it. Yeah, okay. Right off the top of my head, I think this is trash. So you're penalizing yourself for using your brute cards. Whereas with Reiner, you're buffing yourself by discarding your brute cards. If that makes sense. I can't see what the benefit of this is. Because once you get X amount of cards in your banish zone with the Blood Debt, you just die if you don't trigger your hero ability. And your hero ability doesn't actually benefit you, it just reduces the negativity of your deck. Okay, well, to me this seems like the first bad pass. Like, what's the appeal of using these cards over the standard brute? They have a higher cost, so to speak, because, well, no, I guess, okay, their resource cost is less, so you can essentially out-tempo a normal Reiner player, but then their downside is just huge, at least from everything I'm reading and seeing. Interesting. Other than that, it's just the same mechanic as the brute. You discard high damage cards, you get somewhat of a benefit. So next up is Boltyn, the Light Warrior hero. If you've charged this turn, attacks you control have +1 damage while defended by an attack action card. Attack reaction. Banish a card from Boltyn's soul. Target attack with damage greater than its base damage gains go again. So that ability seems really good, especially if it's the same sort of card cycle as the Illusionist, where you're just using your cards and they're getting put in your soul. It just seems like the light heroes are way more empowered than the shadow heroes. Because the shadow heroes, you're sort of fighting this negative effect. And with the light heroes, you're just getting this extra effect through your soul. What about equipment? Anything specific? Not really. No. Weapons. Once per turn, action attack. Whenever you attack with Hatchet of Body, if Hatchet of Mind was the last to attack, it gains +1. Is it just the inverse? It is just the inverse. So whichever one, so you always do 2 then 3, so to speak. Unless you can go back and forth between the weapons. You have a lot more normal warrior abilities, it looks like. I mean, it just seems like Boltyn is just a advanced Dorinthia, so you're still just trying to utilize your weapons overall, and then you've also got your soul mechanic to sort of help you out. Is there anything interesting to look at? I guess the Mentor. I haven't really paid attention to these cards. At the start of your turn, if Minerva is face down in your arsenal, you may turn her face up. One-handed weapons you control have +1 damage. Whenever a weapon you control hits, put a lesson counter on Minerva. Then, if there are 3 or more lesson counters on Minerva, banish her, search your deck for a specialization card, and put it face up in your arsenal and shuffle your deck. So you can grab your specialization straight away. Specializations seem like a really cool mechanic to me. If they extended a bit further, and made them change your hero in some way, not just add a buff. So, for instance, this is Boltyn Specialization. As an additional cost, you may charge your hero soul any number of times, so put 1 or more cards from your hand face up under your hero as into your soul. Attacks you control on this combat chain gain +1 damage for each light card charged this way. So, essentially, you're just buffing B for the Vanguard with as many cards as you can from your hand. I would like to see a specialization more as like an ongoing talent. So, for instance, you could have, you could do it similar to an RPG. So you could go specialize in attack, specialize in defense, specialize on utility, and just have a running special effect. And also, intellect, from what I'm seeing, is not really having a huge effect. I've seen a few cards where it increases it for 1 round, but I haven't seen any heroes with a dramatic difference. So I haven't seen a hero that's really weak, but the offset is you start with 6 cards or 7 cards and are able to therefore defend a lot more easily. I've seen significant losses in HP to help offset a high damage hero, but I haven't actually seen the intellect stat be utilized just yet. Anything else? So your cards seem to have this charge mechanic where you can actively put cards into your soul. So I guess it's a little bit worse than Prisms, because you're not only paying the cost of the card, you're then able to discard a card, so to speak, as well to gain an extra effect. Well, it looks like on this one you have to. And on V for Vanguard it was optional, right? Yeah, you may charge. Well, as an additional cost to play, you may charge your hero soul any number of times. Put 1 or more. So you have to put 1, but you can put as many as you want. So yeah, so your cards, not only do you have to pitch a card, you now have to essentially discard a card. And I can't see any way to actually play the cards from your soul. Is that right? But yeah, so all in all, Boltyn, just a different style of Dorinthia, to be honest. And all the light heroes seem like they got the better end of the stick than the shadow heroes. Okay, so last up we have Chane. Once per turn, action. Create a soul shackle token. The next Runeblade or shadow action this turn gains go again. Go again. So it's not the token that gives you a Runeblade or shadow actions go again. They're separate. They are a aura with, at the beginning of your action phase, banish the top card of your deck. So again, the light heroes, it's like a benefit and a optional mechanic. With the dark or shadow, with the shadow heroes, it is a worse cost, so to speak. Well, it's not even a cost because it's not being tacked onto your card. You're just having these tokens that are non-beneficial. It's also a big separation from the normal Runeblade hero, because the normal Runeblade hero is it's when you attack or play a Runeblade card, it deals 1 damage, 1 arcane damage, which means your playstyles, you stack them up and then you attack. This seems like you're meant to be able to chain your cards together at the cost of milling your deck. I don't know how to feel about that. Okay. Destroy Aether Ironweave. Gain 2 resources. Activate this ability only if you played an attack action card and a non-attack action card this turn. Go again. So this is a very interesting concept to me. I've seen a lot of different chess pieces that have gain resources, and they all range from obviously 1 to 3, and they all have different tags attached to them. And it seems like there are far better ways on, say, just generic equipment to accomplish this goal. I guess it is just a common for that reason. What about our actual weapon? So, once per turn, attack. If you played a card from your banish zone this turn, that's interesting to see. So I'm hoping there is a lot of ways to actually utilize your banish zone, because if it's just Blood Debt again, I doubt I will ever touch a shadow hero zone. Gain 2 damage until the end of turn. If it hits a hero, deal 1 arcane damage to that hero. So you get 1 free damage, even if you only do, say, 1 damage. Interesting. Okay. Do we have anything interesting or new? Arcane damage. Start from the top. If you've dealt or deal arcane damage this turn, gains. If it hits a hero, they discard. No, it's not too interesting. Okay, so we do have Blood Debt. I can see that on some cards, which is, again, bad. I think that's a horrible mechanic. Especially because, unlike Levia, we don't have a way to neutralize it. So we're just essentially building up fatigue. If you've played a non-attack action card this turn, you may play Unhallowed Rites from your banished zone. Okay, so as long as we've got that on a bunch of cards, I'm happy to see. Yes, okay. So that's already insanely better than Levia, because it means you're turning... Your Soul Shackle tokens are actually really good, because they increase your pool of cards you can actually play from. Because it doesn't matter when you put it in, right? Yeah, it's just if you've played a X card this turn, you can play a card from your banish zone. Meaning you're stockpiling your banish zone. It's like having an extended arsenal. Which is, that's just way better. In my mind than Levia. That's just way better in my mind than Levia. And it just means that this hero is like really high tempo. Because over the course of, even if you're just using your ability, so you use your ability each round. That means straight away, second turn, you've got an extra card. Third turn, you've got an extra 2 cards, and so forth and so on. And their ability to play them is not a hard thing to accomplish. And then that's also your way to counteract the lose 1 damage. Okay, so I might be interested in looking into this hero. I still reckon the normal Rune Blade looks funner to me, to see the option to stack up your cards. But yeah, straightforward. So you're putting cards into your banish zone to actually be able to go again, and then you're able to play those cards, which is the upside. So you're extending your pool of cards from more than your actual intellect. So, for instance, in this case, I would have liked to see him have 3 intellect. Because you have your hand to utilize, and you also have your banish zone now. And I think that would just slow him down enough, because you could definitely get away with him. I think I saw him on the Blitz band as well. So he's been utilized enough that you can't play him in competitive play anymore. And I would assume it's just because he's very, very high tempo. What about our specialized Soul Reaper? You may banish 1 or more cards from your hand rather than pay the cost. If you do, you gain 1 resource for each card with Blood Debt banished this way. And all the cards with Blood Debt so far look like they have a way to play them. So that's a really good specialization. And when a hero with 1 or more cards in their soul, it has go again. Wow. So, okay, so you do have some sort of counters to, like, the light heroes, and I saw some that have counters to the shadow heroes. You're most likely just going to use Shadow Runeblade hero cards with it. He is essentially a separate character to the normal Runeblade hero. They play completely differently. Yes, they can pull from a fragment of the same card pool, but I would have liked to see them just create new heroes. Just continue with a cycle of new heroes in each set, and then have, 1 or 2 cards supplementary for the other heroes. And they could take a look at well-played cards, but it would create a better feel in the product as well, because it means the product is insanely specialized towards itself. So if you want Monarch, if you want any heroes from Monarch, you need Monarch. Anyway, we'll leave it there. I hope you found it interesting. bit of a different one because I'm not actually going to play. We're just sort of looking through card lists, I guess, and taking a look at the heroes. I might just skip the last 5 and jump to deck construction. I think we could utilize that a bit better, especially if I'm just going to use this format to look at things. I don't know, I'll think about it. Anyway, thanks for watching if you did, and see you next time.